Hey everybody, Chris Munson here. I figured I'd talk to you guys a little bit about word magic and how that can play a part in the way you communicate with others and how they react to you, and vice versa. If you have an emotional reaction to things that are said, which we all generally have some kind of emotional reaction to what's said. However, if you react in such a way that it becomes harder to think, it constrains your thought, then you're dealing with something that is word magic. I guess you could say most people do not understand this concept of word magic. I myself don't particularly understand all of it. I only know what my grandfather explained to me. He explained that thinking and emotions are actually two separate things. They can both play into each other, but one controls ultimately the other. And if you let the other, i.e. emotions, control thought, then all you're going to be doing is taking your own personal control and giving it to your extremities, versus the opposite, where you put your emotions in check under your conscious thinking process. Now, for those out there who are of more portlier size, if you are worried about your size, just work on it. If you have troubles with it, then work on it. Before you work on anything, ask yourself, why do I feel uncomfortable? What is it that I am upset about? Do I not like what I am? Or do I not like the words that are used to describe what I am? Am I what my weight is? And the answer is no, you're not. You are your soul, just like with anything else. So, with that being said, someone calls you fat, like a kid. Understand, you're dealing with a kid. One, kids are assholes. As a stepfather, I know kids are assholes. Two, it's a kid. Kids don't generally fully comprehend things, so even if they, said what they said, doesn't particularly mean that they meant it in a negative way. However, if you take offense to what is said, you have to understand you're the one feeling the emotion for the words said. That means the ball is in your park. You can control how you feel. Don't give your leash to someone else simply because of what is said. Alright? Otherwise, you'll be like someone like me. Whenever someone says something to piss me off, I'm more inclined to not be able to think properly. My breathing becomes constrained and constricted, and I generally get very apprehensive, and I might even get into fistfights because of it. Don't be wrong, more often than not I try to control myself, and I've gotten pretty good at controlling myself. But because of years and years and years of just handing my leash to someone else, it's become difficult for me in order to really truly control myself. You see, that's power for you. If you give power to something outside of yourself, then all you're really doing is creating a habit from your own body. Just kind of like, for example, whenever you decide to, let's say if you have a smoking habit. The reason why you smoke is because you like to tap your box on something whenever you try to shake it up. Or maybe you like to have a Lucky in there. So it's that little habit that you form with it. And after a while, even if you try to stop smoking, that habit's still there, even though you don't smoke. So you might even start doing that habit, even without the cigarettes. That's kind of what you're doing. You're programming yourself. Same thing with your emotions. Your reactions with these emotions is what defines your brain and your mind and your reactions. Let your thoughts do the controlling, okay? Once you start to do that and you start to piece things apart, for example, someone calls you fat and you're a portly individual, just say, okay. And? Is there anything else you want to point out there? Captain Obvious? Try not to let it get to your heart. That's God's temple. Don't let someone else mark it up because of what they said. they'll cast their stones. Let it be. However, if you're dealing with someone who decides they want to make accusations about you, that's a different story. Now, why did I bring this up? Because there's a lot of people out there who get offended with the term homosexual, or gay, or queer, or things of that nature. This is why I say this, is because people in that general category are very emotional bound. They believe that they are what they are because of what they feel. So these people have given up themselves to their feelings, to their extremities, to their outer, to their exterior. So they're always, they have to have their affirmations by their partners, by their neighbors, their friends, their co-workers. They have to have these affirmations by these people, to the point where they don't generally comprehend, at least not from my own experiences, and I myself used to be bisexual, so a lot of my experiences with people, if of the homosexual variety, whenever I do something kind for them, they take it as I'm flirting with them. They take it as I'm trying to get in their pants. Because they feel good, and because I'm making them feel good, it must mean that I'm trying to get with them. And that is quite the contrary. And that's also why, when it comes to, for example, there's a lot of women out there nowadays that don't particularly understand whenever a guy does something nice for them, it's not because they want to be with them. It's because, for example, for someone like myself, I like to do things nice for people. I like to make people smile. That's it. I like to make people feel good. That's it. Nothing sexual, nothing intimate, just, hey, I hope you have a great day. Hey, let me get this door for you. Hey, I would like to give you this. I found these flowers and I was going to give these to my wife, but you look like you can have them. Just nice things. I like to do kind things for people. But sometimes, at least in today's society, it's taken out of context. It's sometimes either they think too deeply on the subject, or they take it for such a face value that they take it negatively, or they take it as, oh, well, I'm married, or I've got this, or I got that, like I don't need anything from you. And it's simply because they take the face value, like their emotions, which they've allowed to have their leash given to their extremities, and they just decide, oh, well, I'm not going to think about it, I'm just going to react. I've done nice things for people where they get angry at me. Like, oh, you think I can't take care of myself? Or, oh, I don't want to be with you, alright? I don't need your number. And it's like, I'm just trying to do something nice, trying to hold the door open for you, trying to give you something. Sorry for trying to be kind to you. Don't allow your emotions to control you. Because at that rate, you're always going to want to have the high horse. And whenever you're low, you're always going to think someone else is trying to be above you, whenever they're just trying to talk to you. Even if they just try to point out something that's a criticism. We can all criticize each other. That's within our scope of capability, but it doesn't mean that we're on a high horse. But at the same time, how do you know that you're on a high horse? When you can't take criticism yourself. Look, word magic simply is the emotional spectrum. Once you put yourself into a spectrum where you don't think, you just act and react, then it is simply like kinetic energy. Alright? This is the reason why actors do what they do. This is why politicians do what they do. This is why musicians, and whatever you want, whenever there are people who are literally paid to be and do whatever the heck they are right in that moment, that is why they do what they do. They don't do it so they can actually give a damn about you. At least, those that are put in the highlights. They're doing that simply because they know that we'll get a response. And with the society that we've been built to be, just like with the Romans, back in a time frame where they were turned into infantilized, I can't even say that word. Essentially, they're turned into a mob of emotional people that act and react to things. They want to be fed, they want to be entertained. That's it. As long as you keep them fed and you have the gladiatorial arena going on every day, all day, they don't care. It's bread and circuses. That'll keep them. sated. But is that really the type of society you want to live in? That's what we got right now. Sure, you're not seeing people kill each other in the football stadium, but people are looking forward to some player hurting themselves. I hear that. You know, sure, it might not be for the team that they have. Like, let's say if you like that team and you like that team member, then you're just like, yeah, I don't want that to happen to them. But if you're on the other team, you want that other guy to get hurt. I hear that from people like, oh man, he sprained his ankle. Yeah, well, fuck that guy. He went from the Eagles to this. You know, like, they're acting and reacting. Don't let that be. Don't let that emotions control you. You're just going to be another plebeian of Rome by that. Now, I know this is already a long video, so I'm just going to cut to the chase here. The ultimate understanding of word magic is your actions being upon the extremities without your own conscious choice. Don't turn it into habit. Think on what's said, realize what is right and what is wrong with your own thoughts, not your feelings, your thoughts, and then from there move on. The only thing that separates the two are those who lead and those who follow. There are people out there, like, for example, my grandfather, who understood this. They used that for their agenda. He was part of the CIA, so that's what he had to do. He had to realize that for his actions in Vietnam, for his actions here in the United States whenever he dumped drugs into the poor communities. It's all about action and reaction. You do this in such a way so you can train the people, much like you would train the dog with a Pavlovian response. Look that up if you have not. Most people have, but for those who have not, it is generally a ring a bell, feed a dog, do that repeatedly. The dog will salivate even if you got no food for him whenever you ring that bell. Same thing for today's society. People are going to act and react because of certain words. You say gun, people get tense. You say queer, and then people get upset. You know, even if they start saying cunt or asshole or whatever the heck. It's certain words that they've been trained to feel and act and react to. Just like with conspiracy. When people think conspiracy, the first thing, like my wife thinks about is conspiracy theory guy. When I hear conspiracy theory, my first thought is that's yes and no. I don't like it, you know, because I know the connotation, the image that people have been mentally programmed to see. Alright, now, this is pretty much it. It's not really much to it. It's just understanding what something means versus what people act and react to, and knowing the difference between the two. I'm sure that a lot of you already know this, and you don't let people control you. However, there are other people out there that might not particularly know that. Sometimes the best way to diffuse this is by just trying to talk with them. However, some people would rather be a wall and be a river when it comes to emotions. You talk to them, they turn into a wall. But then whenever you let them sate their emotions and you feel for them and allow them to, do whatever, they'll become a river. And they'll flow any which way they go or any which way you push them. Some people would prefer to be that way. It's not much we can do for those individuals. All we can hope and pray for is that God gets to them the way that God has gotten to us. Anyway, you've heard enough of my stuttering ass. God bless and good luck to you all.